Are you guys ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? This multi-watt megastar has been in amazing productions on film, television, and stage. I really like her in Throw Mama from the Train. That's a personal favorite of mine. But then, of course, she was one of the most memorable captains. I can actually say this. I really think that, theorizing, because I never really did get to see him on the series, but I can still guess that she probably had the best legs out of any captain on any Star Trek series ever done. She was, of course, Captain Katharine Janeway of the USS Voyager, lost in the Delta Quadrant, bringing everyone home safe and sound, with which she was rewarded with the rank of Admiral before Picard. But we're not bitter. In fact, we're thrilled, we're honored, and pleased to have her with us. Please welcome none other than Kate Mulgrew. I was hoping she'd sign it right there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time. Okay.
Thank you, Dizzy. I should tell you what stage his mother was in when he was born. She called him Dizzy. I'm delighted to be here in Columbus, the seat of Ohio government, now being presided over by a decent, wonderful man, my great friend Ted Strickland. I'm happy to see so many familiar faces. How are you? Nice to see you, too. I remember when you fell in love and then got married. How long ago was that? Never mind, we don't talk. And all my other ladies, of whom I'm very fond, I want to say hello and thank you. It's been a fraught year for me. Complicated and fraught. A year ago, my mother died, and just before she died, I was asked to be the mother of an Irish Catholic mob clan in a series called The Black Donnellys. So I went from my mother's deathbed to my darling sons, who were very busy dismembering people. All I really did this series was cook a lot of casseroles and say, I hope you had a nice day here. At any rate, I think it was aired and pulled and canceled. Right? You always know before I do. Yes, right. And then I was offered a wonderful play called Our Leading Lady. And I had a marvelous run in New York. This was a new play by Charles Bush. Were you there? I think you were there. I know that several of my other ladies were there. That was a great experience. It was the story of Laura Keane. Here's Fiona, my darling Fiona, standing over there. Laura Keane, who was the great actress-manager of the 19th century, who was on stage the night Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. So the story of my play was what actually happened to those actors who were on... Sorry? Oh, she's talking on the phone. She's talking on the phone. To her Vulkon boyfriend. Go to the corner. Hide your head in shame. And tell her we hear every bleeping word. And then after that, I took a little holiday and I disappeared to the Bahamas with my family, which was very good. And then I ran off to Harskin Island, which is an isolated, austere, and very beautiful island in the Puget Sound, where I've been threatening to go for 20 years, and finally went to visit my great friend, who was a writer, and her family, who are all psychoanalysts. So you can imagine what fun it was. And there is no cell phone service there. So lo and behold, much to my surprise, on a Sunday morning at 6 o'clock, my cell phone rang. And it was my part-time assistant, Sid King, saying just 3 crackling words. Iphigenia, Greek tragedy. And So I went and found a landline, and I called my manager, and I was offered the role, just to add a little laughter to my summer, of Clytemnestra in Iphigenia 2.0 by Charles Mead. So I'm in the middle of that rehearsal process right now. And if any of you know the story of this lighthearted comedy, it's a story of a family, Agamemnon, who rapes and steals Clytemnestra from her husband, and in order to do so, of course, beheads the husband and kills her only child. But evidently she sort of enjoys the rape because they get married. And out of this union are born 2 children, possibly 3. Iphigenia, her sister Electra, and the brother Orestes. And the myth goes, the Euripidean myth is, Helen of Troy was stolen by Paris, right? Helen is married to Menelaus. Menelaus is Agamemnon's brother. In this wonderful play that I'm doing that's going to bring the house to its knees with belly laughs every night, at the very top, Menelaus and Agamemnon are setting sail for Troy to reclaim the beautiful Helen. But the soldiers in this modernized version, making it increasingly more gruesome than even Euripides could have imagined, have demanded that Agamemnon show his understanding of their sacrifice by sacrificing one of his own. At first we think it's going to be Clytemnestra. She's got a few years on her kid links, right? It's not. It's Iphigenia. So on the pretext of asking Achilles to marry Iphigenia, he sends for Clytemnestra and Iphigenia to come to the wedding. They're thrilled, they come, there is no wedding. He's going to sacrifice his daughter. To make a long story short, it doesn't happen. I approach Achilles. Clytemnestra's very busy. I approach Achilles, who is 16 years old, and of course the world's greatest and most fearless warrior, and I ask him to dance with me. And it's a 10-page scene where I press him to my bosom and assure him that if he marries my daughter and defends her, I will owe him for the rest of my life. That is a very long and very Greek scene. At any rate, at the end of the play, you think it will work? Because Chuck Mean has written the play, not Euripides. And Iphigenia stands up in her beautiful wedding dress, and after all of this has happened, she says, "No, Father, the soldiers are absolutely right. How can you ask these men to go to war, knowing that most of them will die, if you are not prepared to understand the enormity of this sacrifice yourself? I give myself to sacrifice." And of course Clytemnestra falls to pieces. Menelaus hauls her off the stage. Agamemnon is in despair. And then Iphigenia goes to the stone where she commits suicide. So I do hope you'll all come if you're madly anxious to have a laugh. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm a little dazed because yesterday's exercises, and I'm working with a mad woman. And I don't know what's happened to my career because I'm getting older, but something's getting younger at the same time. And it's my sense of reason, which I seem to be losing. I'm working with this woman who's quite demented. And she's taking me back to when I was 15, 16 years old in a conservatory room where the challenges were so great and the risks were so high and the stakes were so high that you didn't think you could do even the most fundamental of those exercises of trust and giving in and falling. And yet I'm doing them all now, all day long. And I'm immersed in this process, and I'm finding that it's bringing up all kinds of things. It's a high time I learned to be deeply truthful on stage. I think I'm going to get there. I think this is how I'm going to take the rest of the journey. And I don't think that I could have done it with the kind of, I was going to say cushion, but cushion is the wrong word, support and happiness that Star Trek Voyager allowed me to take it with. So I want to thank you all. And once again, and I've said it 8 zillion times, you know that I love Katharine Janeway. And I loved Voyager. Is Tim Russ in this room somewhere? No, of course I would smell him, wouldn't I? The divine smell of testosterone, ladies. But I will see him before I go, right? Somebody will find him. He's not hard to find. He's usually stark naked. So I'm thrilled to be here. Where is he?
I got a question. Is there a chance that Tuvok and Captain Janeway could have got together, have a little, Is there a chance that could have happened at all? Little Janeway and Tuvok?
Answer! I don't recognize you, man, with your clothes on! Don't you come near me, you beast!
Yeah, I want to have a little hooky with you.
Doesn't he look good? Yeah! He actually looks nice standing up here, doesn't he? Do you know the truth about him? The naughtiest man. You were! Don't act as if you weren't.
I admit it. And I haven't seen this lovely lady in, what, is it 2 or 3 years now? I haven't seen
Yeah, at least that long. How have you been?
I have been fine.
Somebody said they saw you in Is It to Live Hard and Die
Hard,
Alone?
whatever, die already, die.
And that you were great.
One way or another.
Just like that. Are you happy?
Yeah, it's great.
Now, here's the thing I don't understand. Do you mind if we talk on stage together for a minute? So, where did I see? I had dinner with McNeil in New York.
Right.
And Picard came to see me in the theater, right? And I understand you all have an annual dinner, Voyager dinner, without the ladies. Which I find very interesting because how do you have a Voyager dinner without the ladies?
You know what? That was a long time after the show, just after the show had ended. Somebody had called me, one of the guys called me and said, why don't we get together, the Voyager guys get together and have a dinner. We did it once. And then we started doing it like every 6-7 months or so. And,
But why didn't you call the ladies?
well, I had no idea. I didn't know anything.
Yes, you do know.
I
You know very well what you do. Oh, I know where they got dinner this last time. Say nothing. Where do you think they had dinner this last time? Hooters! What did it been at? Jerry Ryan's restaurant?
You have to talk to the good doctor about that, because he's the one that arranged that. Picardo.
I think he was looking for a freebie, but she charged him.
She charged us.
She charged.
Whoa, they didn't charge us.
She got married
Yeah, she's getting married in Spain.
to her chef.
To her chef, yes.
We should all marry our chefs.
It's, yes, very nice. Yes, as a matter of fact, yeah, we talked about doing a whole thing, but you guys are nobody's ever around.
Well, I'm in New York.
You're gone in New York.
Yeah,
And
I
Jerry
know.
was not there either, so it's usually just us.
But have you been well?
I have been fine.
How's the baby? Not a baby
Well,
anymore.
she's 8 years old, going on 16.
Do you have any other children?
Not that I know of. Be a few floating out there.
Mine just graduated from college, too.
Oh my goodness.
Little mushroom cat.
Oh,
Yeah. Down.
college.
Down, graduated from Kenya. So that's it.
I remember when he busted his foot on the skateboard.
Remember when he wanted to be an alien?
Yes.
He had a little buzz cut, and Rick Coley was directing, and he said, he could just, I said, you good alien, just a good alien, but he did, but he had braces. So we had to say some awful little, couldn't speak it, because of course there are no braces.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you.
It's good to see you.
And we will see you. Are you going back to the
I wanted to tell the story before you go.
Okay.
In the last episode, which was called Endgame, we had a scene together. And of course, you know my mother died of Alzheimer's, right? And this scene with Tuvok, who has acquired and developed Alzheimer's, I have to say goodbye. Because Captain Janeway knows, and Admiral Janeway knows that she's going to sacrifice herself. And I think that was the most, in my life as an actress, difficult scene to do because I thought I was saying goodbye, of course, to one of my favorite people, and that was Tim Russ. sweetheart. Take care.
All right.
Isn't it great?
You guys, have a good
Fiona, are you going to be around? Can I give you my information to give to Tim? Because he's coming to New York next week. Would you do that for me? Thank you. My play starts, I think, on August. It's been backed up a couple of days, 27th. And we're going to need all the time we can get. Right? But I'm thrilled by these young people. It's all young people. Menelaus, Agamemnon, and myself. But the rest of them are 21, 22. And the bravery and the passion, it makes me feel like the theater is coming alive in an entirely new way. So I'm just thrilled. Now, I know we have limited time, and I'd love to take some questions. I prefer it if you have questions. Does anybody have a question for me? Please. Yes, don't get up. Don't get up, because this is a young lady who has been fighting in Iraq, and she was shot in the leg, and she's come all this way. And I think it's very moving. But she's looking to go back for another tour, and I said to her this morning, and I hope you didn't feel that I was untoward, I beg you not to go back. I think that your life is more important than anything else that you have already proven. What is your question? What was more fun, playing a Klingon or playing a Borg? You know, she doesn't ask if I enjoy playing Captain Janeway. Oh, the Borg. That Klingon stuff is exhausting. Do you have any idea? And I could learn all that. You know, I didn't have any stunt people. We weren't spoiled on Star Trek Voyager. Sorry, Ernie? Yes, I'm independent. I think the Borg, because even though it took a long time to get ready, and I don't know how those people do that, how Jerry Ryan and all those people do that, when you get into it finally, you feel so completely like them that it's a marvelous feeling. You don't feel, you don't think, you just kill. That was fun. Thanks, darling. Anybody else? Is there another mic, gentlemen? Is that it? Can somebody do that? That will simplify it. Yes, who else? Adam. There's a lady here.
Run. Do you have any plans to do T at 5 again?
You know what? I have to be honest with you. What's your name?
Jennifer.
It almost killed me.
Oh, I can imagine.
3.5 years was long enough, don't you think? My God. Really long. And so hard on my voice. Because in that one I was doing all that sort of stuff. From that to all that. I have a story to tell you about Hepburn now. You know, everybody's revisited her since the anniversary of her death was in late May. And Dina Merrill. Does anybody in this room remember the great beauty Dina Merrill? Those of us of a certain age. Well, she was not only a fabulous beauty and a well-known socialite, but a marvelous actress. And she was a friend of Hepburn's. So when she learned that Hepburn was getting very sick, she drove to Fenwick, and she went into the house, which was surprisingly very quiet. There was nobody around. Nora did not answer the door. She called on the first floor. Kate? Hello? Nothing. She went up the stairs. Everybody knows that Kate Hepburn's bedroom was on the second floor overlooking the Sound. And she went to the door, and it was sort of cracked open, and she pushed it. She opened it. And what she saw was the back of a wheelchair, and strapped to the back of it was the oxygen tank. And what she heard was... So for a second, I think she was still quiet. And then she gathered her courage and she said, Kate, it's Dina. I'm here to say hello. And this is what she saw. From the back of the wheelchair, Hepburn turned very slowly. I am trying to solve a puzzle. Those are the last words she ever said. And you want to know what the puzzle was? The whole concept of her life. Oh, am I in the Clytemnestra or what? Well, that's a question. Hello, how are you, Flo?
I apologize for suffering.
I know, I think we should all have many boyfriends calling at all times.
They lost the keys and they thought they were ours, so.
That's what they all say.
Yeah.
What's your question?
TF5, which I got to see in Hartford and Cleveland. Wonderful show, and I recommend for anybody who couldn't see it to get the audio. It's very good.
Good.
You talked about Katharine Hepburn's vulnerabilities as an actress, as a human being. I'd like to know what you view your vulnerabilities as an actress and as a human being.
Well, that's very interesting. Did everybody hear that? She's going for the jugular. As well she should. And she's asking me what price I'm willing to pay for being an actress. And I think it's taken me many, many years. I've been an actress for 35 years. And I've worn a kind of mantle or cloak of strength. But it's gotten me pretty far, pretty well. From mediocre to just above mediocre, I'd say. The strength is sometimes even more appealing than that. But there's only one thing that brings you to me with urgency and truth in a second to your knees. And that is my vulnerability. Because that is the only thing that lets you in. So at this point in my life, that's where I'm going. And it's very, very, very revealing. If you cloak yourself for a long time, you then run the risk of losing it a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying? The emotional temperature can be very high. But I think that there is no other thing that I can do now that I would rather do. So to answer your question, if I had half the courage I have always said that I've had, I will give you my vulnerability as an actress, or I'm not with it. And that's my answer to that one. Who else? Yes, yes. Yes.
Have you ever been asked to do Inside the Actors Studio? We get to go watch that when it's done.
I haven't been asked, but I'd love to. I don't know if I'd love to do it. Doesn't he always ask you, and if you were to go to the pearly gates? No, doesn't it?
Yes.
I've met James Lipton a couple of times. It's weird, isn't it?
But it's very interesting when they go through your whole life.
Is it interesting?
Yes.
I saw Robert Williams on it one night.
He did 5.5 hours and they only showed less than 2 hours on TV.
No, he did 5.5 hours in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Sure, that's Robert Williams. No, but thanks for the question. Yes, sir.
Thank you. There were some questions about a Voyager movie being made. Have you heard anything, and would you be willing to take on a project like that?
Some questions. I love these questions. Floating in space. Where did you hear these questions?
Starfleet International Fan Club, which I'm a member of.
Meaning you'd like to see a Voyager movie?
No, there's been internet traffic about this for several years, and has.
Oh, you don't want to see a Voyager movie?
We definitely would love to see it. Who would want to see a Voyager movie?
Alright, so in this Voyager movie, is it with the other captains?
To my knowledge, from the internet traffic, it is your ship, your command name.
Do you really mean to say that Captain Picard?
No. No, we're not going to make it so.
I wouldn't mind being with those other 2 captains. 3 captains. 4. Oh no, you're right. Let's go back to the original. Just me and Voyager. Good idea. I would like to do it very much. I don't hear anything. about it. Aren't they doing, J.J. Abrams has just done, now they're 2 years old, right? Isn't that what this movie's about? Oh, don't they understand? We're not interested. And, you know, right? Yes, that young man. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll come back to you. But I see him, and he's brave. Stand up, dear. When they're brave, you have to make them stand up. How old are you?
I have 2 questions.
How old are you?
14.
14. Are you interested in science?
No.
Are you interested in girls?
No, not really.
I can't wait to hear what this question is. What is your question? You have 2 questions. Shoot. Go.
What do you think about the crew of Voyager? What do you think about the actors such as Neelix, the Doctor?
What do I think of the crew of Voyager? What do you think of your mother and your father and your brothers and your sisters?
Family.
That's right. But more than that, darling, because I got them in the fix that they were in, right? I was completely responsible for these lives. But just like the rest of life, and this goes for family as well, some relationships were more intense, deeper than others. You know, I loved the Doctor, although I have to be honest and tell you that I love Dr. Carter in life. And Robbie McNeil, that devil among devils, was my neighbor for 7 years, and I adore him. I have to tell you a story. This is a non sequitur. Do you mind, anybody? No. Robbie I see often because, you know, he's a big deal director now. And I'm responsible for his success. Because in the second season of Voyager, he went to Rick Berman and said, I want to direct 1 episode. Berman said, absolutely not. You're not ready. It's too soon. You don't understand it. You're inexperienced. And Robbie solicited my help. And I went to Berman and said, give him 1 shot. We'll make it a very simple thing. So Robbie directed an episode called Sacred Ground. Do you remember? Wasn't it heaven? I was naked in it. Very, very fond of Robbie McNeil. My hair, remember? I was seeking my spiritual life. Isn't he divine? And I'm off in space. So he became a wonderful director, and as a result, he, of course, infected his entire family. And his girl, Taylor, is now 17 years old, and she's studying dance and creative writing in New York at Columbia University. So Robbie said, would you mind keeping an eye on my daughter over the summer? And I said, not at all. I'd love to. But of course, you know, you get busy. However, he called me and I said, I will call her, of course. I said, darling, could you come for dinner? This was just a few days ago. Oh, I'd love to. And could I bring my friend? I said, yeah, I don't care. I'll just do this, a sacrifice to the most exquisite creature walked into my apartment. My sons were there, right? My big, hulking, 22, 23-year-old son. Stop. But not just that. Hello, how do you do? I'm Taylor McNeil. I'm delighted to meet you. Your mother tells me you're a painter? Who are your masters? Who do you emulate? Oh, how fascinating. If everyone just fell to their knees and worshipped. And my whole point to this story is Robbie McNeil managed to do it. He raised beautiful children and became a fabulous director at the same time. So he was a great, great, great friend of mine on Voyager. And also Roxanne. But she sort of now is, I think, off into a world of very, very, very busy. But to answer your question in a very long-winded way, Sugar, I loved them all. All of them. All right? Now you. Sorry, sir. Oh, yes, 2, of course. 14, I always have 2. Yes, but...
If you're going about your average day life in your house and you get transported up to an actual Voyager with an actual crew like that, what would you do? What would you do if you got sucked into Voyager?
That's 14. That's your son?
Yes. That's no problem.
Well, I guess that would be your father. What would I do if I were just going about my business and I actually got transported up to Voyager? Is that what you're saying? Oh. I think I'd have to to make the best of it, don't you? Don't you? I think I'd have to go right into the ready room and kill whoever it was in there and take over. Don't you? Huh? Yes. And then don't you think I have to stay 7 years? Trying to figure out a way to get home? Yes! All right, so that's what we'll do if it ever happens. Yes. There's a lady down... Oh, this man, yes. Yes, this thing, yes.
I think one of the things that's fun going to conventions is seeing the actor personality of the actors and then being able to tell the difference between the person and the character. So going back a few, and actually understand the acting, so going back a few, the middle of Voyager season, there's a scene when Kes is leaving Voyager, and very emotional scene for both of you, and it seemed like the two of you were sitting outside of the character, and actually it was an emotional goodbye between two actors, one leaving the series. Was that my imagination, or was there actually a personal goodbye?
No, it's not your imagination. And that goodbye between Kes and Jamin was the goodbye between Jennifer and Kate. And I'm sure it's no surprise to any of you what was going on at that time. It was very difficult. And I hope nobody is ever put in that position. We knew that she was leaving, being replaced. That's a terribly difficult thing. Terribly, terribly difficult. You really do not want a company to be fractured at that point. So indeed you did see me and her. What a lovely actress she was. I just want to say that. Lovely, fine actress. Yeah. Yes. Yes, darling. There's a lady down there, but she keeps raising her hand and you don't see her. There. See her? Madly curly hair. Smiling. Is that my sister-in-law?
What would you say was your favorite episode to work on in Voyager?
Oh God, darling. 7 years? You're not going to like this. Nobody likes it when I say this. Everybody just gets horrified and disappointed. I loved Counterpoint. I loved it. It was a real opportunity to play about 3 different levels at the same time. I loved Endgame, and I know a lot of people objected to it. I loved Deadlock, but I think if I had to choose one above all others, representative of both the philosophy, the dignity, and the guts of Star Trek, it would be a Death Wish. Death Wish was great. One's right to suicide. Very interesting, right? Yes.
Hi, Kate. Thank you very much for being here. I have a question for you. It's kind of a two-parter. When you started Star Trek Voyager, first of all, did you think it would last the total 7 years? And are you surprised at the outcome of all that it is spurring for you?
Well, you have to understand, as I'm sure you do, that I was not the original Captain Janeway. The original Captain Janeway was a lovely French-Canadian actress by the name of Geneviève Bujold. So I came in hard on the heels of that departure, which fed my trepidation. She didn't last but a day, you know, and I think it was her own choice. I think she said, "Oh, you people are kidding me. This is absolutely not good to happen." And anyway, I don't think that people would like to hear "engage." I think she kept saying that on purpose. "All right, Lieutenant, are you ready? Lieutenant Paris, I'll be ready to roll, all right?" Engage. I love the French, thank you. I thought that they were going to do everything they could to bring me down. That was my feeling. I had a row of men, the brass, come down from Paramount and UPN every day for weeks and stand in a clutch and watch me like this. Just watch. No expression of any kind. Just waiting. Just waiting. When is she going to fall? Because we got to get a man back up here because this is our demographic and we're going to lose it if we keep this broad in the captain's seat because we're not going to get 25-year-old boys to believe that she can command a ship. So I just said to myself, really? Watch. At the same time, and then I'm going to take your question, I respected them for their decision to try a woman. I want to say billions of dollars were at stake here. Star Trek had always been the flagship show. Star Trek had always paved the alleyways of Paramount Studios. So for these guys to take a shot at a woman meant that they were willing to see history change. But I think that they did not expect it to succeed. But you see, young men are interested in the same thing that young women are interested in. And old men and old women, the truth of command. And that's all anybody cares about, right? I always said the audience is far smarter than you guys. No, repeat it. Yes, yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. There was an episode. I only was able to see half of it when I got home. It was about when both Tuvok and Volana Taurus, when they both did something, and at the end you were mad at both of them. You were mad at both of them.
What did they do? What did they do?
Okay, I remember seeing a scene when Volana wanted to do something. You said no, and that bothered Volana, so she did it anyway, and so did Tuvok. And at the end, you told Volana, "I won't throw in the big, but next time you will no longer be,
It's just like asking somebody, how many grains of salt are there in that Borton salt shaker? I have no idea does anybody know it?
The name of the episode is Prime Factors. I've just been informed.
What's it called?
Prime Factors.
Oh, I sort of know.
Sorry, it was the one where you had the aliens that were interested
I'm
in
so hoping somebody will ask you a different question. I don't really remember it, darling.
It was in season 1.
But did they resolve the issue?
Yes.
Was I diplomatic and firm? Very good. Next one. Yes. Yes.
Hi, Kate. My friend and I wanted to know if we could read you something really short that we wrote for you.
Yes, of course. But clear, be clear, and loud.
This is called An Ode to Kate. There once was a gal named Kate who was so incredibly great, little Dubuque could not hold her, she wanted a life so much bolder.
So off to the big city she went, waiting tables to just pay her rent. Then came her break and Ryan's hope, but away from her passion Kate couldn't cope.
So onto the stage she went and she played. Here on the stage she spent many a day. Then the audition for Captain King, so she went running like hell through the rain.
The producers decided on Mulgrew, who was frankly too boring and old. So out with the French and the Irish in, this beautiful redhead with her infectious grin.
Though thinking themselves quite enlightened, the men in charge grew frightened. So amongst them they fussed and they fussed over silly little things like her hair and her bust.
Finally, Kate said enough. She would not tolerate such stuff. She knew that sex would soon be an issue, but Kate put her foot down. Red alert, no thank you.
With Kate at the range, Janeway upwards drew. We soon came to know her as Her Highness Miss Mulgrew. But sadly, at the beginning of season 4, the producers decided they wanted more.
And her 7 with her T and her A, yet we were not impressed, not to this day. Alas, as fans, we never faltered. We kept Kate high atop her altar.
For no other captain was as great as she, along with her trusted cup of coffee, not Kirk nor Picard or Cisco too, to save Voyager, only Janeway would do.
So came the end, as sad as it may be, but Kate did it all with great dignity. Janeway will live on in our hearts and our minds, but feel free to call us and chat anytime.
And so it is.
Yay!
But together we stand humbly before thee, our feelings sincere, our words ringing true. We do so love you, Miss Kate Mulgrew.
Oh,
I do want to add, or anyone that can see, these 2 young ladies are wearing the shirt that usually means, what would Jesus do? These 2 young ladies are wearing matching t-shirts that say, appropriately enough, what would Janeway do?
The shirt usually says, what would Jesus do?
I've seen them on license plate.
I don't know if I love it. Thank you, ladies. That was lovely. Lovely. Yes. Yes. Whoever.
You've had a long career, and it's probably had great ups and great downs.
Would you stand so I can see you, please? Thank you.
What is your greatest thrill in your career and your greatest sadness?
My greatest thrill This was a pretty good one, Our Lady of Lady, that just ended, that just closed. The scope of the character was so great. And I must say, when I played Hedda Gauntlet, it was great. And Isabella and Measure for Measure. I don't know. Too many. My greatest sadness? Bad television. Although I've done very little, I've done some. And I regret it. I'm not afraid to say I have regrets. We do have regrets in life, don't we? I have several regrets. You should never do anything for money. You should never do anything for money. If you can possibly, as an artist, you really must try not to. You must try to avoid that, because that will get directly in the path of your creativity. So when I have done things for money, I've regretted it. Yes. Yes, sir. He's asking how LeVar Burton was as a director. Fine. I like LeVar. I'm rather attracted to bite. I have to tell you that. I'm going to be honest with you. I like bite, I like passion, and I like chops. I like to be a little afraid of the director. I like to know that the director knows more than I do. So I like LeVar. The other part of your question was, what? Who inspired me? That's always asked, and it's tough because no one really. My mother inspired me in terms of character, and Stella Adler, my mentor, inspired me, but she was my teacher. She was a great, great actress at the Yiddish theater. She studied at the feet of Stanislavski. She taught me a method which has lifted me up. And she used to say to me, darling, you know, you're going to have many men. You're going to have many men, you're going to be up and you're going to be down. You're going to be rich and you're going to be poor. You're going to fuck and you're not going to fuck. You're going to laugh and you're not going to laugh. And I'm going to tell you one thing, and I'm going to tell you straight. Only the work will lift you up. And she was right. Only the work has lifted me up. The only consistent thing. You would think it would be one's children or one's love. It's the work. But you know, that is the affliction and the joy of the artist. So, I'm blessed and cursed at the same time. More blessed. Yes. Yes.
Hi. I have been watching Star Trek since the beginning, and the greatest thing for me was watching all the diversity that all the seasons bring with the different species and the characters, and I want to know how you felt about that.
The diversity of characters. Do you mean, for instance?
Different species, races, creeds, everything.
Well, I mean, that's what Roddenberry's dream was. The time will come when we will transcend all of these things. The only thing we didn't have that I fought for and failed was a gay character. And I felt that we should have a gay character, right? So to represent all. But in time, it will be all gay, I'm sure. I love that aspect of it. That's what it was all about for me and for all of you. Watch it, right? Who wants to watch the cleavers in a spaceship? This is about how we interact and how we get to it, right? How do you feel about Barack Obama? No? Well, this is an African-American woman. I want to hear, what?
I want a woman in power.
You want Hillary Clinton over Barack Obama? We won't get into it. Yeah, next. Yes.
I actually have two questions, one from a friend that couldn't be here and one from me. My friend Sarah wanted to know, other than Tim Russ, who played the practical jokes on the set?
Other than Tim Russ? Certainly you've seen the others, haven't you?
I've heard about some.
No, I think you know who they are. They were on the bridge with me for 7 years. Tall, stinky, scatological, irreverent, merciless dogs. They went after me all the time. All the time. I was the only one. The only female.
But they didn't go after Roxanne at all?
She was home. They released her first. Keep me laugh. Because they knew that no matter what, I would keep that close up because I was dying to get home. But these guys would be doing Burt Lancaster, they'd be doing the Vegas dancers in the back, somebody would be stripping, spitballs in the forehead. And I'm giving a 3-page monologue about the black hole, right? I should have been canonized, Darren. Canonized. Yes, you. You know, my husband is one of 14 children. They're everywhere in this big estate. So her question is, she was at a cocktail lounge in Gerard with my brother-in-law, Bobby Hagan, who told her the story of how I met and kissed his brother, my now husband, Tim. And you want me to repeat how I kissed him? Where? Anatomically or geographically? God, those Hagans. Sex, sex, sex. I'll tell you a story about Bobby Hagan will make your hair fall out. I met my husband in Ireland. He was my mother's friend, not mine. And he was going to Ireland to visit the ambassador, who was his great friend and my mother's best friend, Jean Kennedy Smith. And my mother said, go down and meet my daughter. She's in Dingle with her 2 sons. I'd been divorced for a year. I didn't want to meet him. It was the last thing I needed. But he came, we met in Tralee, and it was instant. He followed me to Dingle. Connie, you've heard this story so many times. Connie's taking a small nap. And at Dingle, and then her. And here, get this, you guys. He may have told you a different story, but this is the truth of the first kiss. We met, he would follow me to Dingle, and we went to a pub that night. I got a sitter for the boys. Tim and I went to Kate Ash's pub. Kate Ash is my great friend. I don't know how many of you have ever been to Ireland, but the pub is the most romantic place on earth. Also the filthiest. And the sort of most primitive. Do you know what I mean? You're just alive in a pub. There's a turf fire, and they're all singing, and everybody's drinking, and everybody's hammered, and it's fabulous, right? And Tim and I are in front of the fire, and I am falling so in love. Can you imagine me speechless? I wasn't actually speechless. But I was falling. I thought, oh my God, this is the night. I have waited 38 years, 38, to meet this guy. My heart was beating, my throat was closing. Finally, Kate says, oh, sorry, darling, no, 3 o'clock in the morning, the guard of your own, and I've got to close it up, your oath. So I said, oh, I suppose we have to go home. Would you walk me home? He said, of course I'll walk you home. We went off. Now I'm going to cry. Only in Ireland at 4 o'clock in the morning is it still light, in the sense that God is still there. And the seagulls were coming up through the mist, and the mist was joining the clouds, which were just above our head. And it was so glorious, and the street lights were still gas. And we started to stroll, and he turned me slowly, and he took my face, and he kissed me, very gently, very lightly, sort of like a drugged fly. And he looked at me and he said, boy, I'd love to meet the man who's going to marry you. That is true. So the next time you're in that cocktail lounge in Gerard, you remind Bobby, mind his own business. Can you imagine? I'd love to meet the man who's going to marry you. I knew right away. Wouldn't you know? I'm looking at that lady. Wouldn't you know right away? I knew. I've got you. You are a dead duck. Dizzy. Is that your Christian name? It's very very good. One more question. Yes, sir.
Well, I have a comment, but a couple questions. First of all, who was your favorite star role actor? I mean, who would model your starring role? Did you have a favorite one?
I'm not sure I understand this question.
Let me start over. How did you ever have a star that you actually would like to model yourself after?
Oh, did I emulate it? Not really particularly.
Okay, and did you have?
I do now. I do now, not then. Now it would be Judi Dench.
Okay. And also,
huh? Did you see No Time to Scandal? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Thank you. What?
and also, you did the role, and I forgot, you played a role where you were a mother but you left the family to go back to college and eventually divorced. How did you
Bad TV.
feel about doing that role? How did you feel about doing that role?
I loved it. I loved it. She was the bad girl. Who wants to play one of Daniel Steele's goodies? And I think Wonder Woman was on it too. So I got to be the bad one. But guess who my son was? The young and very, very good Ben Affleck. So we had fun. And I had fun in my bed scenes with Patrick Duffy. He would deny it, but we had a lot of fun.
And my comment was, if they would have succeeded in getting you out of the Star Trek Voyager, I think your show would have gone down. In my opinion, you fit that role very perfectly.
Thank you. On that note, what more can I say? You are, as always, wonderful to see, wonderful to talk to, and I thank you all very much. Goodbye.
And let's take another shot of her signing the captain's chair. Give it up one more time. For Kate Mulgrew! All right. We're just going to give her a few minutes to set up for the autograph session.